on this book. This book is titled Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous also named their fellowship Alcoholics Anonymous. Two very separate things. The wisdom of the rooms is not the program. The program is in the book. The wisdom of the rooms is a gathering. When we get to page 28, I'm going to explain that gathering. But it is a gathering of his people. So don't get confused by the wisdom of the rooms being the program, okay? Two very separate things. Today, we're talking about the program, both vitally important, both vitally necessary. But people will tell you things in the rooms that may or may not be true. If it's in the book, and you can find it in the good book, it's true. If you can't find it in the good book, it's probably not true. And if you can't find it in the big book, it's probably not the program. So as we go through the program and you gain this knowledge, and I said you got to take it into the rooms, you also got to be wise as the serpent, right? And as gentle as a dove. So you got to carry a message of love and compassion. All right, here we go. Where am I? 23:1. These observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took the first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers where? In his mind. That's your soul. A man has three parts, a body, a soul, and a spirit. Each does something different. We're created in his image, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Three parts. Your parts do different things, just like his parts do different things. The soul is where reasoning takes place. There's a soul problem, a mind problem, a thinking problem. Science will tell you that your soul or your reasoning takes place in your frontal lobe and that your cerebral cortex is where you hold your beliefs. Once you believe something, you don't think about it anymore. I know how to drive a car. I don't have to get in and think about it. I turn the key, I start driving. I'm intuitively knowing everything that's going on around me, right? And so I don't have to stop and think about every step like I'm a new driver. That's because it's in my beliefs. I'm pulling it up. Booze and drugs are good. They take away discomfort with no negative consequences. That's what my life experience taught me. That's what I had come to believe into the moment I was redeemed. So what happens is you got this old belief system that we're going to take apart. The body, the mind, rather than his body. The issue's in the tissue. If it gets in, there's this allergic reaction, but there's a real problem with the way we think because the way we've programmed our mind because of the spiritual break. If you ask him why he started on the last bender, the chances are he will offer any of 100 alibis. Isn't that great? We always got a reason why we started again. Sometimes these excuses have certain plausibility. I mean, I hear it from guys all the time. I'm getting to be a little naive, right? After 34 years, guys will give you these stories. You go, oh, okay. And it's a big lie the whole time. They sound so plausible, right? It's just, oh, wow, that happened? Oh, The dog made you do it. He ate your lunch, huh? But none of them really make sense in the light of the havoc the alcoholic's drinking bout creates. They sound like the philosophy of a man having a headache, beating himself on the head with a hammer so that he cannot feel the ache. Isn't that great? If you draw this fallacious reasoning, his mind, his power of choice, his will, all lives up there in the soul. To the attention of the alcoholic, he will laugh it off or become irritated and refuse to talk. You call an alcoholic on something, he'll usually laugh or he'll shut you down. We just share the truth. We don't try to present the fallacious reasoning that they're dealing with. They'll see it for themselves. Once in a while, he may tell the truth. That's how often we tell the truth when we're drinking. Once in a while. Every now and again, a little truth might come out, but it's few and far between because we're busy making up excuses. It's changing our morality. And it's strange to say that usually that he will have no more idea why he took the first drink than you have. Sometimes the drinkers have excuses with which they are satisfied part of the time, but in their hearts, and your heart is your spirit. It is your innermost self. It is the thing that desires relationship with God. In that letter that Dr. Jung writes to Bill Wilson, that's in the back of the book that you can read, he ends the letter with a psalm. And it says in Psalm 42, and he says, as a deer's heart pants for the waters of the brook, so my heart pants for you, O Lord. He says the recipe to stay sober or to get right with God is spiritus contra spiritum. It's Latin. Doctors love Latin. It means it takes a spirit to defeat a spirit. And in that letter, Jung writes that the same name that we have for the most holy, the Spirit, is the same name we have for the lowest deprived thing that we put into our body that kills us. Spirits. So he says it takes one to defeat one. Alcohol can only be defeated by the Spirit. And Dr. Jung is the guy who saw Roland Hazard, one of the greatest psychiatrists of the time. Dr. Jung believed differently than Sigmund Freud, which is what all modern psychiatry is tied to. He believed that the human mind had the ability to pierce beyond the rational mind. Modern psychology is about the rational mind. That's why we hear about the healing of the inner child and all these things. Jung said, no. Man's mind has the ability to connect beyond that and receive intuition from the divine. Dr. Jung's pretty cool. Anyway, so now Bill Wilson's going to start talking about what I call the sleeping tiger, when we arrest our drinking, when we don't drink for a while. And the scriptures say, Satan is like a prowling lion. He's waiting to devour you. He's patient, waiting. So is the disease. Waiting patiently. Waiting for you to get up that one morning. One of the men at the break was saying to me, surrendering your will and your life in the morning. 3rd step prayer is mandatory every day. 7th step, my Creator, I'm now willing that you have all of me, good and bad. Take from me every single defect of character. My lust, my anger, my fear. Take it all so I can go about your bidding. Our requirement is that we surrender our life to God so that there's no room for those thoughts to take control of us that take us back to the drink. Once in a while, we tell the truth. Once this malady, so here he's talking about the heart and the malady. He's setting us up. Once the malady has a real hold, they are baffled a lot. There is the obsession that somehow, someday, we will beat the game. But they are often suspect that they're down for the count. So the obsession is that I'm going to drink like normal people. Here's the big problem in the soul. He's told us there's fallacious reasoning. He told us it's in the mind. The recurring thought is I'm going to beat it this time. That's the thought that comes back. I'm going to get it this time. I can do it. So until somebody has walked from ship to shore, that's an obsession. Obsessions turn into compulsions. Then I'm drinking against my own free will. I have no choice. How true this is, few realize. In a vague way, their families and friends sense that these drinkers are abnormal. But everybody hopefully awaits for the day when the sufferer will arouse himself from his lethargy and assert his power of will. That is not a power. We've lost it. It ain't going to work. But it's that issue that's in the tissue. It's the reaction of the body. The tragic truth is that a man, be a real alcoholic, got a body, soul, and a spirit problem, it may never arrive. He has lost control. Here it comes. At a certain point in his drinking of every alcoholic, he passes into a state where the most powerful desire to stop drinking is of absolutely no avail. I can't stop. Why do I keep doing this? Read Romans 6. It'll explain it. Why do I do this? The tragic solution has already arrived in practically every case long before it is suspected. Now, I want you to write next to this next paragraph, SMB, strange mental blank spot, SMBS. Here it comes. Bill is going to describe it. I read it to you yesterday. Here it is. Boom, you got this mind problem. Here's the spirit problem. The fact is, it's another fact. What is a fact? A fact, it's an indisputable truth. The fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, we can't bring it into focus, have lost their power of choice in drink. Our so-called willpower has become practically non-existent. I can't resist. We are unable at certain times to bring into consciousness with what? Sufficient force of memory. I cannot remember. of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago, we are without defense against the first drink. I ask you this, how do you defend yourself against something you can't remember? If I can't remember, how do I stay on guard for it? It's like there's that movie where the guy had dates over and over and over. What was it called? Was it Groundhog Day? Same thing keeps happening over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Every day he wakes up. The world turns out different, but it's because he can't remember yesterday. That's exactly what happens to the active alcoholic when somebody shoves the drink his way or when the thought comes and he plays with it. He has that strange mental blank spot. It is the key to recovery. And we don't talk about it anymore. We don't understand it. Because if you have that, there's only one solution, and that solution is spiritual. It is our human spirit connected to the divine. Dr. Jung knew it. Roland Hazard knew it. Shoemaker knew it. Wilson knew it. Dr. Bob knew it. First 100 men and women knew it. And somewhere along the way, playing that game of telephone, it's been a little bit watered down, and we're just bringing it back to life. The almost certain consequences that follow taking even a glass of beer don't even crowd into the mind to deter us. Doesn't even come. If these thoughts occur, they are hazy and readily supplanted with the old threadbare idea that this time we shall handle ourselves. There comes that thought, yeah, you can do it. Did he really say you couldn't do that? Come on, you wouldn't surely die. Like other people. This is a complete failure, the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. Later on, he's going to say we recoil from it like our hand from a hot stove. The alcoholic don't feel the heat. Boom. I don't smell my flesh burning. Right? Here comes, this is the thought before drink paragraph. Right? Thought before drink in the margin if you'd like. The alcoholic may say to himself in the most casual way, it won't burn me this time, so here's how. Or perhaps he doesn't think at all. Both ways right there. We entertain the thought or it doesn't come to mind. Two ways. Don't play with that ball of yarn. Get behind me. Give me the next right thought, God. And then call on the name of Jesus, right? That's what it tells us to do. So here it is. So you've got this strange mental blank spot that manifests itself two different ways. I don't think about it, or I play with the thought. How often have some of us begun to drink in a nonchalant way, and after the third or fourth, be pounding on the bar, say to ourselves, for God's sakes, how did I ever get started again? Only to have that thought supplanted, boom, here comes temptation, by, well, I'll stop at 6 drinks. Or what's the use anyway? Right? I went 3. I mean, I didn't go straight. I'll just have 3. 3 then 6, 6 then 12, 12 then 24. But Bill he cut right to 6 right away. But we've all had that thought after a period of time of not drinking. It won't hurt me this time. I'll try it. I'm just making too hard of myself. That jail wasn't that bad. Here comes the malady. Right next to this paragraph, the malady. What sort of thinking is fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies? Body. The alcoholic body. He has probably placed himself beyond human aid. Hear me loud and clear. You can have the allergic body and not be an alcoholic. Let me repeat that. You can have the allergic body and not be an alcoholic. Some people have that reaction. They're told by a doctor or somebody else that they're having an allergic reaction, they shouldn't drink, and they stop. Can you imagine that? I'm not going to do that anymore. That didn't feel good. Just having the allergic body is not enough. The obsession of the mind comes, the spiritual malady comes, the trifecta is what we have. If you like to play the ponies, you know what that means. Unless he's locked up, he may go permanently insane. These are stark and ugly facts that have been confirmed by legions of alcoholics throughout history. Now here it comes. Come on, this is the page. We're going to get to the answer. And here's the only time in the big book that it mentions the word grace. But for the grace of God, the unwarranted favor, I do nothing to receive it. But for the grace of God, there would be thousands more convincing demonstrations. So many want to stop, but cannot. Bill's acknowledging that his stopping is grace. Unwarranted. There is a solution. Now watch what he says next. None of us like the self-searching and the leveling of the pride, the confession of shortcomings which the process requires for successful consummation. We've received the seed. The power is in the seed. The secret is in the soil. The tilling of the soil, the watering of the seed is what we need to do when we take those steps. Sanctification. We have to allow God to change us. He will not violate your free will. Ain't never going to do it. And he's such a loving daddy, he gives you more of whatever you want. You want more of him, you get more. You want more of your old way of life, you're going to get it. Keep your eyes on him. I say to my daughters all the time, keep your eye on the prize, girls. Yeah, Daddy, I got my eyes on Jesus. All right, good. Let's move on. Here it comes. There's a consummation that takes place, a joining, a oneness. For me to live is Christ, to die is gain. The crucifixion, those descriptions that the Apostle Paul gives us about the union we have with God. But we saw that it really worked in others. He's looking at the church people, the people who are getting sober around him, people who are living right. That's what he's talking about. We had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it, when therefore we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved. Solved. If you solve a problem, you've solved it. What God has made free is free indeed. Walk in that knowledge and faith. Believe it. Take it into your innermost self. There was nothing left for us to do but to pick up a simple kit of spiritual tools left at our feet. Now, many think that is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. The spiritual toolkit is the way of living that's described. Look, when we surrender, we allow sanctification, which is the making of amends and restitution, and we live a life of service. You can do those three things. Surrender, sanctify, serve. Bang. That's the simplest toolkit. The 12 steps are a breakdown of that process that Bill had learned from the Oxford group. We found that much of heaven, and we were rocketed into the fourth dimension. There it is again. Bang. Off we go. We're now seeing and understanding God's universe for what it is. Created. In all of his creation, we have dominion over here on earth. We're the only creatures on the planet that have the power to speak. In the beginning was the Word. Words are powerful. The biggest lie on the planet is sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Lie, 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 lie. I could speak death over somebody. I could bring them down. I can humiliate. I could talk in ways that aren't good. Or I could uplift them. Powerful. In the beginning was the Word. It was spoken into existence. Your words are powerful. What you say to others is powerful. Now here it comes. This paragraph, I want you to circle 25-2. I want you to highlight it. I want you to put rockets next to it because this is the solution. The central fact in our lives today is nothing less than that we had a deep and effective spiritual experience. Boom, fact. Which has revolutionized our whole attitude towards lives, towards our fellows, and towards God's universe. Boom, fact. Here's the sentence right here. The central fact, that's a common fact. The central fact in our lives today, this is the first 100 men and women in our lives today, is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts in a way and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. Bang, drop the mic. What religion says that the Creator of the universe comes and dwells in human flesh? Only Christianity. It's not in any other religion. Those are all religions of works. Ours is a religion of grace. The founders found grace when they allowed the Holy Spirit to dwell within. My Creator, I am now willing that you have all of me. Take this vessel and make it yours. We are the church. Where we go, He is. He's having 7 billion instantaneous relationships right now with the saved and the unsaved all around the world. How big is he? He knows what happens next in 7 billion situations simultaneously. And he came back into his own creation in flesh to live a life. When you read the stories, there's 3 stories in this book. One of them talks about the cardinal teachings of Jesus Christ. He came in flesh to show us how to live and how to walk, how to talk, how to do it. He gives us the example for everything. Read what's read first. If you're new reading the Bible, read the red stuff. It's good. Get a red letter Bible. Somebody get excited. And so he's telling us, let the Creator into your heart. Surrender yourself absolutely to him as you now understand him. You will come to know him and call him by name. If you're not there today as a newcomer, surrender your life to the creative intelligence of the universe. It's a synonym, but you can use it. Does that make sense? Yes. Somebody. Boom, there's the answer. Bill could have just stopped right there. But Bill, in his own style, is going to keep on going because he wants to bring it home. He has commenced to accomplish these things for us which we could never do by ourselves. Once we receive, we begin to believe, we begin to move forward and walk upright. It starts with our faith. It starts with his grace and our belief, our accepting of what he's done. Salvation, sanctification, service. If you are seriously alcoholic, look at that, another past tense word. We believe there's no middle of the road solution. What did he just tell us the solution was? Allow the Creator into your heart. We were in a position where life was becoming impossible, and if we had passed into the region from which there is no return through human aid, 100% hopeless without divine help. Now, put your finger right here. I just want you to go to page 280 real quick. I'm just going to point this out and then flip right back. If you just want to get moving on the steps at this point with somebody you're working with, it tells you how to take the steps in order, what pages to read, and how to do it. I call it the steps by the book. And what I did was assembled for you, page 280. Here's the first step. There's a little paragraph about it. There's 4 bullets, and it tells you what to read. Read these pages in the doctor's opinion, 17, 22, 24, 33, 42, and you can bounce around through that book, and you get to the question, what are you willing to do? You can read that part of the book with a newcomer and ask them general questions, point out your experience, and get them through step 1 real quickly. It's a guide, and it does that with every single step. We're going to go through the steps in detail, but I just wanted to cut and show you that real quick, okay? We were in a position where life was becoming impossible, and if we had passed through the region from which there is no return through human aid, we had but 2 alternatives. 1, to go on to the bitter end, blotting out of our consciousness the intolerable situation as best we could. Some people choose to live that way. The other is to accept spiritual help. This we did because we honestly wanted to, and were willing to make an effort. Now check this out. You don't chase the newcomer. He needs to have the desperation of a drowning man. You ain't going to do him any good chasing him down. He's got to want what you have or he don't. He might want what somebody else has, and that's fine. He should go do that. Each man has his own journey and his own path. God knows who he is, and he doesn't need to be shoved down anybody's throat. That's not our job. Our job is just to throw seeds. His job is to avail himself. Now he's going to talk about cognitive therapy a little bit, and here's where we're going to talk about Roland Hazard. A certain American businessman had the ability and good sense and high character. For years, he floundered from one sanitarium to another. He had consulted the best-known psychiatrists. They had gone to Europe, placing himself in the care of the celebrated physician. His name is Dr. Jung, who prescribed for him, though experienced, he made him skeptical. He had finished his treatment in the usual confidence. His physical and mental condition was unusually good. Above all, he had believed he had acquired such a profound knowledge of the inner workings of the mind and its hidden springs that relapse was unthinkable. This is Roland Hazard. He goes to Dr. Jung and he gets drunk. He ends up in the Oxford group. He makes a decision for Christ. You can read Roland's letter or Jung's letter, again, on page 270. There's also go online if you want and get the letter that Bill wrote to him. This is a very important interchange between these two men. Nevertheless, he was drunk in a short time. More baffling still, he could give himself no satisfactory explanation for his fall. So let me ask you this. If you go to one of the most celebrated psychiatrists in the world, and you get on a boat, because he didn't have an airplane, you get on a boat and you cross over and you go to Switzerland to be with Dr. Jung, you study with him for some period of time, right? And you think you've got it down, and you come back and have a strange mental blank spot. How baffled are you? Roland is completely baffled, and then Dr. Jung gives him some really good advice. So he returned to the doctor. He goes back to Switzerland, whom he admired, and he asked him point blank why he did not recover. He wished above all things to regain self-control. Not going to get it. This is the obsessed thing that we want. He seemed quite rational and well-balanced with respect to other problems, yet he had no control whatever over alcohol. He's a real alcoholic. He begged the doctor to tell him the whole truth, and he got it. So now Jung lays down on him what's going on. In the doctor's judgment, he was utterly, that's outside of himself, hopeless. Man, what a sentence that is, huh? He could never again regain his position in society. He would be placed himself under lock and key or hire a bodyguard if he expected to live long. This was the great physician's opinion. I had considered hiring a bodyguard towards the end of my drinking. Somebody who could drive me around and make sure that I didn't get in trouble, right? Just drive. I haven't had a license in years. Just drive me around. Watch me drink. Wouldn't that be good? Yeah. But the man still lives, and he is a free man. Free. Go anywhere, do anything. Free. Doesn't have to go to a meeting. You may want to. Right? Free. Free, free, free. Don't put yourself in bondage. We seek freedom. Freedom from the bondage of self. He does not need a bodyguard, nor is he confined. He can go anywhere on earth where other free men go without disaster, provided he remain willing to maintain a certain simple attitude. And we talked about that. We'll get to that deeply in the 11th step back on bottom of page 84, 85, right around there. It talks about the miracle and our fit spiritual condition of the 10th step. Some of our alcoholic readers may think they can do without spiritual help. Let us tell you the rest of the conversation our friend had with the doctor. The doctor said, you have the mind, we've talked about that, of a chronic alcoholic. You're going to relapse forever. I have never seen one single case recover where the state of mind existed to the extent it does in you. Oh my goodness. I can't help you with psychotherapy, cognitive therapy. You just doesn't get right because you are a real alcoholic. Our friend felt as though the gates to hell had closed with a clang. He said to the doctors, "There are no exception." Now look what Jung says. "Yes," he replied, "there is an exception in cases such as yours. They've been occurring since early times. Here and there, once in a while, alcoholics have had what are called a vital spiritual experience. Necessary for life. Spiritual experience. Remember I told you the term spiritual awakening that's in the 12th step did not exist when the book was written. They added that later. They only referred to the spiritual experience. They wanted to experience God, not just be made aware that there was one. A spiritual awakening will work for a moderate or a heavy drinker, but a real alcoholic needs to experience him. He needs to be in relationship with his Creator. To me, those occurrences are a phenomenon. A phenomenon is something that actually occurs, but we can't explain why. The doctor does not know how a man has spiritual rebirth. He doesn't know how it happens. It's by grace. He can't reproduce it. Bill finds a path for us to ready ourselves for that. Once in a while, a vital spiritual. To me, these occurrences are phenomenons. They appear to be of the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes which were once guiding forces, our beliefs of our lives of these men are suddenly cast to one side. Boom! Renewed, restored. And completely new set of conceptions or understandings and motives become dominant to them. We decide we're going to look that way. I'm going to look towards you, God. I'm not going to look that way anymore. I'm going to allow it to dominate me. In fact, I have been trying to produce some such emotional rearrangement within you. With many individuals, the methods which I have employed are successful. So there are people out there having cognitive therapy that works for them. They don't have what I have. It's all good. Some people can do that. And they don't have the spiritual experience, and they're in our rooms, and just be aware. It's cool. Good for you. Merry Christmas. With many individuals, the methods which I've employed are successful, but I have never been successful with an alcoholic of your description. And the of your description is the real alcoholic described on page 21. Body, soul, spiritual break. Upon hearing this, our friend was somewhat relieved, for he reflected that after all, he had been a good church member. So check that out, circle church member. What do you think Jung's telling him? I don't have the answer, go to church. And he gets on a boat, he comes back to the United States, he hooks up with the Oxford group, he gets the spiritual answer, he's born again. And he's going about fulfilling the Great Commission when he goes to see Ebby Thatcher, who God puts him in front of. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to help him. He wanted to stay laying by the pool. These were rich guys. He gets Ebby. Ebby gets out. He gets sent to New York. He's in a rescue mission. He's broken. He decides that he's going to go see Bill Wilson. Look at the grace of God. I didn't build this church. It's but for the grace of God that it's here. It's all those people who came before, gave money, donated their time. Same thing when you walk into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Somebody started that meeting. Somebody paid for that chair. Somebody's doing that. It's all grace. God orchestrates all these things in life. And we think it just happened right now. He'd been working on it for a long, long time. So Roland comes back and has that experience. Come on. Getting myself excited. What paragraph am I on, Scotty? 27:5. Hope. This hope, however, was destroyed by the doctor telling him that while his religious convictions were good, in his case, they did not spell the necessary vital spiritual experience. You don't get to be a pew warmer. You get to get up and really do the things that you study on Sunday. You get to go out and pour into others. You've been called to works made specially for you. Come on now, right? So here we are. He now tells him, and that's what he's saying. He's not saying the church thing doesn't work, the religious people are wrong. Bill already told us they were right. It's that we have to actually walk out our faith. Can't just warm the pew and show up on Sunday. Felt good, going to go to work on Monday and cheat somebody. I'm not pointing any fingers. Don't take that wrong. Where am I, Scotty? Top of 28, thank you. Rabbit hole. Is it break time? Hallelujah. How close? A little bit more? Okay, I am?
Yeah, wrap quick.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Well, I think we're going to take a quick break. 2 minutes.